Hey, it's your girl Maya, and today's video is from Deuteronomy 8. The title from this chapter from the ESV version says, Remember the Lord your God. I know that I've read Deuteronomy 8 several times, but it seemed like there were key verses that really stood out to me as I was meditating and studying on this. I'll start at verse 2, and it says, and you shall remember the whole way that the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, that he might humble you, testing you, and know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. This is important because a lot of us in our processing season, we have a wilderness of our own. Now, your wilderness may not take 40 years, but prior to them being in the wilderness, God swore that the prior generation would not reach the promised land, so it took longer for various reasons. But it says here that the Lord was humbling them and testing them to know what was in their heart. And it made me think about sometimes God has shown us our future. He has shown us our purpose and our callings, and we are aware of our giftings. And we may be obedient, maybe being disobedient, but it seems like the promise has taken a long time to come. I love that what I see here, that this waiting had a purpose. It says that he might humble you, testing you to know what's in your heart. And so the wilderness is supposed to prune you. The wilderness should bring forth character. The wilderness should bring forth intimacy with the Lord, that you may follow his commandments, that you may know his ways. But that waiting also reveals what's in your heart. Will you remain faithful even when you've waited long? Will you remain faithful when you feel like you've done all that you can do? Will you remain faithful when it seems like the promise may not come to pass? 40 years is a long time to be waiting to enter the land that God has promised you. You were swiftly moved altogether out of Egypt, and now it seems like you're at a standstill, you're at a halt. But will you be faithful when God has you waiting in a place, waiting in a season before he brings you into the promised land? And then in verse 3 it says, and he humbled you and let you hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. This verse was also very deep for me as well, because one, it says that he humbled them and he fed them manna, and we know that the Lord is Jehovah Jireh, that he provides everything for us. Manna, we most of us know, it was a supernatural form of nutritional provision for the Israelites that came daily, except for on the sixth day they got a double portion, because God rested on the seventh day. As wonderful as that is, as miraculous as this is, that means they were essentially eating the same thing over and over again. The word also says that their clothes did not wax dim, nor did their feet swell. So essentially, they were wearing the same clothes that they had. God provided a way for them. They were healthy. They were not sick. Everything they needed was provided for, but it was the same thing. It also makes me think, as a mom, we I provide things for my daughter, and when she gets other extra things that she likes, she's like, "Oh, mom, I love you so much. You're the best. You're the greatest." She's depending on me for her day-to-day needs. Now, there's going to be a time where she's able to take care of herself. The true test in relationship and love and loyalty to me would be, will she still be that sweet daughter when she's able to provide for herself? Will she still love me the same when she has an abundance of resources amongst herself? So when we come out of here, and also the other part I found very interesting is here, these Israelites are in the wilderness, and Jesus quoted in Matthew 4:4 this same verse from Deuteronomy 8 verse 3 about man does not live by bread alone. God humbled the Israelites by giving them manna, and there was a dependency on God for everything they needed from day to day. And so then when we get to verse 4, no, not verse 4, I'm going to jump to verse 6. It says, so you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God by walking in the ways and by fearing him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains, of springs flowing out in the valleys and hills, and a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olives and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper, and you shall eat and be full, and you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. And then when we jump down to verse 12, it says, lest when you have eaten and you are full and have built good houses and live in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply, and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart be lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and of the house of slavery, who led you through the great and terrifying wilderness with its fiery serpents and scorpions and thirsty ground where there was no water. That was a mouthful, because how many of us have experienced, even in our own lives or witnessed in somebody else's life, things turn around for them. They're no longer struggling. They got a good job. They got a nice house. They're going on trips. They're going on vacations. And when you ask them, oh, how did this all happen for you? It's like God becomes a distant memory. But we are constantly, or maybe they're constantly showing you the change in their lifestyle that does not uplift the glory of God. When we read in verse 6, it says, for the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land. And then at the end of verse 10, it says, and you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. God is not letting you live in a time of lack or less so you can be without. These things are to prune you. It's to change your character. It's for you to have intimacy for the Lord, for you to know how his covenant, know his ways. And then when you are abundantly blessed, you are to still bless the Lord with all that he has given you and do the work that he has commanded you. Not take the resources he has blessed you with to have a good old time and be disobedient. But when we come down to verse 6, and it said, 16, it says, who you in the wilderness were manna that your fathers did not know, that he might humble you and test you to do the good in the end. Beware lest you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. And if you forget the Lord your God and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. And so this is a reminder that the wilderness is a blessing. The wilderness is a protection. The wilderness is a training. The wilderness, it sharpens you, it corrects you, it builds your character, and it shows you how you should have that same dependency on God in lack and in abundance. And it produces a place of intimacy and worship that should continue even in the abundance, because what is the promise? If you turn away from God and start worshiping these other gods and forgetting who gave it to you in the first place, and you taking glory from the God, you shall surely die, whether that be spiritually or physically. You shall surely die. This also reminds me how I normally have a lot of gratitude for God for the place I'm in now. I'm so grateful that at this moment it's me and God. very little distractions. There's not a whole lot of people calling my name expecting me to go through scripture with them. There's not a whole bunch of people that's requiring my time, energy, and no one really knows who I am. There's nothing that's really expected of me at this moment but to serve the Lord my God, to bless his holy name, to be before him, to worship him, and with promotion of resources, with promotions of titles, with promotions in the land, in the heavens, and in the earth, there is an additional responsibility on your part. And in that responsibility, that's also a blessing. It is a blessing to be abundantly blessed in influencing resources and all that God puts before you in the good land. But the temptations are greater. Are you going to remember to serve the Lord your God when you get to this blessed place? Are you going to remember to be faithful to your covenant, the Lord your God, in this promised land where you have nothing, or when you feel like you have nothing, or when you feel like you are without, or when you feel like all you have is God, and you are aware of all of the trials and the tribulations he has poured you out of, you are aware of all the miracles that he made you, and he's keeping you from day to day to day to day. When the resources at your disposal are able to keep you for days at a time, while the resources at your disposal are able to keep you months at a time, years at a time, will you still remember to come back daily, not just for the physical food, but for the spiritual food that God provides daily? In Matthew 4:4 and Deuteronomy 8:3 is it says that we do not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the Lord's mouth. If we are not sitting before the Lord to know what he is saying, if we are not sitting before the Lord to meditate and to pray and to study, if we are not doing our part, there's no way that we could be fully nourished. And so when these things come up, when the temptations come up, when opportunities come up to deny the Lord, it will be easier because we have not sat before the Lord. This makes me think about Philippians, I believe Philippians 4:13, where it says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. But I'm content in this place. Of course, it's easier to be content when you're in a highly blessed and favored place with no lack, no scarcity. Of course, it's easy to be content in that place. But even in the wilderness, it is a blessed place. Even when you don't understand what is happening, this is a blessed place. This is a safe place. This is a place where all your needs are provided for. This is where your intimacy with God can be poured on, because this is where the relationship has been strengthened. This is the foundation of where the Lord is taking you. Because when you don't know where else your help is going to come from, when the Lord comes and save you, when the Lord shows up, when everybody stood behind, left you, and you didn't know how you was going to eat, you didn't know how you was going to make it to the next day, and it was God who kept you. This is the foundation that will keep you in the midst of abundance. This is the foundation that will keep you when people are trying to use your resources. This is the foundation that will keep you when people are trying to deceive you. This is the foundation that will keep you when people lie on your name. This is the foundation that would keep you when the spiritual warfare shows up and it don't respond to money. Will your spirit be strong enough when it's time for you to fight? Will your spirit be strong enough when it's time for you to fight? Will your spirit be strong enough when it's time for you to stand in the gap? Will your spirit be strong enough when it's time to intercede? That strength comes from the foundation of fellowship with the Lord. So I hope that this blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. And be grateful for the place that you are in now. There's one more scripture that I want to share, and that's from James 1 verse 2 and 3. And in James chapter 1 verse 2 to 3, it says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. In verse 4 it says, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. So at this point, this lacking nothing is not talking about physical things, it's about the spiritual things. It's such a wonderful thing to be blessed with materials. It's such a wonderful thing to be blessed with finance and money and friendships and influence and people. But if you still feel empty inside, what good is it? If you don't have pure love around you, inside of you, what good is it? If you don't have a connection with the Father, what good is it? See, when you have a true connection with the Father, you are blessed in a low place. You are blessed in a high place. You are blessed when you have little, and you are blessed when you have much. So give the Lord your praises for the day. Worship the Lord for where you are now. Glean all that you're supposed to glean in each season. And even when you get to the abundance, don't look at it as a place of something is about to go wrong. Something is about to go wrong. Don't let the blessing be an anxiousness. Rest in the Lord and know that He covers you from the beginning to the end. Be blessed.